Hi, welcome back everyone to the Authentic as Fog podcast. I am Sun. I'm a storyteller and a marketer, and in this podcast, I help some of our members kind of work through, coach them through their storytelling, their marketing, their brand messages. And today we have Rachel Johnson. Hi, Rachel,
Hi.
from your own community, right? Called ah.mi. Did I say that
Yes.
right?
ah.mi
ah.mi.
Health. Yes.
Okay, ah.mi Health. Yeah. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and then kind of a little bit about your business.
Yes. So I am from Miami, Florida. I am currently actually on maternity leave, but kind of funny that I'm doing a podcast. I go back to work on Monday, but I just had my third little baby. So I'm a mom of three, and I am a corporate lawyer full time. So I started my career in big law, worked at one of the largest law firms in the world called DLA Piper that has thousands of attorneys. And I knew going in day one that that life was not for me, but I stuck it out. I paid off my law school loans. And a few years into it, I got with my friend. We both were hostesses at Outback Steakhouse. And, we both went to big law and we kind of rekindled and would talk every day on the phone on our commutes and kind of pump each other up for doing our own thing and starting our own law firm. And so I started my own law firm called J&O Law 8 years ago now. And we represent high growth venture backed companies as their general counsel. We have grown to a team of 20 and we are awesome at what we do. Like, we have a rock star team of other big law attorneys that kind of wanted to live a different way and really enjoy doing challenging work for these high growth venture backed companies, but didn't really want to work at a big firm and wanted autonomy over their lives, which is what everybody wants, especially lawyers who have to bill by the hour. So we've created this amazing, magical firm. But what I found 4 years into it was that I was still not prioritizing myself. And it wasn't like I had big law to kind of blame. Like, I created this amazing firm where people could have their own schedules and, work hard, but you can work out every morning if you want to, you can do something in the middle of the day. And I still was just not living a healthy life. And I was freaking exhausted. I had started having kids. And so after my second kid, Penn, a little boy, I was just like, I'm sick of this. I had also like 50 pounds to lose. I always get to like 200 pounds when I get pregnant. And I was like, I need to join something. I need like somebody to freaking keep me accountable and motivated. And I started looking online and I saw like Noom and Weight Watchers. And that was kind of the only two things out there. And I joined them, but I kind of fell off and I was like, they're not speaking my language. Like, it seems so like weight loss focused, which of course I wanted weight loss, but I also just wanted something like cool and fresh and something fun. So I ended up getting 6 of my friends on a text group chain. And they were all like, Rachel, what the hell are you doing? Are you like in some pyramid scheme that you're trying to get us to like buy some shake or something? And I was like, guys, we're committing for 3 months. We are all going to just be super healthy, check in on here daily, and share what we're doing. And in 3 months, like, magical shit happened and we all were different people at the end of it. Like,
Then
I
those
had
are all
lost,
your friends?
and they were all my friends. Yeah.
Okay.
From random parts of life. Like, it's not like we were all moms. One was like, single and in this funk and didn't
Also,
want to
not
go on
everybody knew each
anything
other.
else. We all knew each other in some way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we all like knew each other in some way. But I was like the main force and brought us all together.
Yeah.
And like normally with that stuff, people like after 2 weeks would be like, all right, guys, I'm going to Mexico, like, and do your little healthy thing. But I like would not let these girls fall off. And it started being fun and like kind of addicting, where we like would all check in every day and like share our healthy, simple recipes and share when we were going on a run at 7 a.m. It's not like we were going to CrossFit at like 5 a.m. We are all busy women with, a lot of us had jobs and, families or going through something. And after 3 months, like even my friend that was like single, she transformed her body. She started getting on all these dating apps and was just like a different person.
Mm.
And people started naturally asking me, like, what the heck are you guys doing?
Mm.
Because they could see physically the changes in
How did
all
the
of
other
us.
people knew? Just people around you
Yeah,
guys, like
just people around, like in our
yeah,
communities and like our other friends, like they had
yeah,
FOMO. They're like, what the heck? I
yeah,
want to get in this like healthy thing too.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, were you
and
guys like posting like on social media or something like that? Like, how did they
no,
even know that you had this
just
like
from like when we would like go to dinner with other friends, or we
just
like
from
would
talking
do like a
about it? Okay,
staycation. Yeah,
like word
just
of
from
mouth.
talking
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, word of mouth. And people started being like, I want to do this too. And so I started setting up WhatsApp groups of these little groups of friends. And then eventually I had strangers, because people were like, listen, I don't have like friends that, either I don't have a big group of friends, or my friends aren't freaking motivated. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
commit with my friends. And I
Mm-hmm.
need people more motivated than me to be in it with me. So I would like set up a group of strangers, and I would do all these WhatsApp groups, and I wasn't really doing anything. I was just like facilitating like this commitment of them
Mm-hmm.
all to do this thing. And eventually I had 17 groups on WhatsApp. I was going to a coffee shop every Sunday to like set up these WhatsApp groups. And I was like, what the frick am I doing? Like, this is not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I'm not going to like, I didn't really enjoy setting up WhatsApp groups and like having all
Mm-hmm.
these different groups. Like, it was kind of like burning me out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took a step and I was
So
like,
your
okay,
first version were
yeah,
you and group of your friends on WhatsApp,
yep. Oh no, we
basically.
are in a text group. Yeah.
Okay.
We are in like a
And then you
regular
try to
text group.
replicate that by creating more bunch of WhatsApp
WhatsApp.
groups for other
Yeah.
people. Okay.
Yeah. And that worked well. But it was like too much to manage.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to realize like some of the groups were much quieter and really weren't doing a lot. And a lot of the groups wanted to see what other people were doing. They're like, hey, are the
Got
other
it.
groups like more active? Like, are other people doing something?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, okay, there's like something in numbers and seeing a bunch of other people. Whereas if you just have like 5 people and 2 people are doing it and 3 people aren't, you're like, okay, eh. But if you're in a group of like 25 people and see 20 people doing it and you're one of the five
Mm-hmm.
that aren't, especially if it's like other women that
Mm-hmm.
also are juggling a lot, it's not like, 24/7 health and wellness influencers that's their job. Like, it's other freaking normal women that are doing it. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
shit, I like got to do this too.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so then I ended up um, a year and a half ago moving everything to Slack. And so now we're a
Okay.
Slack the health club community. It's going really well. Like, we have very high engagement. I've been listening to your podcast and talks on like engagement numbers. We have 154 members right now, and we have about 30% engagement. So I would say about like 40 of our members are really active on Slack. And people
Okay.
like jump in and out, and it's there because people get in funks, and like maybe their
Mm-hmm.
work's really busy, or they just had a baby and they kind of pop off for a few months, and then they're like, I'm back. Like,
Mm-hmm.
come back, and they're like, I need this motivation. Like, what's going on
Mm-hmm.
here? And that's like the beauty of it. That's what I saw I needed. Like, I knew I'm just not a naturally healthy person, and I need something like every few months, freaking sometimes every month, to like motivate me to get back in it. So we have really fun challenges that our community does together. And now I'm starting to launch small groups, where like a smaller group can commit, and like it's the same thing as like the original ah.mi groups, where it's like daily accountability, daily chatting is what you're committing to. Everybody meets each other on like a quick Zoom call in the beginning. And we've had a lot of interest. Like, I posted about it yesterday, and already 12 members have signed up for it. So
To be leaders,
no,
to be like a.
to be in this small group.
Oh, okay, okay. Also, you're creating a small group within your big community.
Yeah,
Another.
within Slack. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. What do you think was the? By the way, from
Yeah.
everything that you said, the part that I resonate like, I think the best part of your story was when you said, "Oh, because I'm not really I'm not really a healthy person."
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? Because like
Yeah.
I think what people don't realize is that when we go on Instagram, right, we see all these people like eating kale and doing doing their like grass juice and all of that like healthy stuff, right? And what we don't realize is that that's actually not most people, right? That's
Yeah.
and when I see that, like when I see like when I look at Weight Watchers, actually, yes, it's like whole diet thing, but the one thing that I can see there is uh it's very relatable, the people there, right? It's kind of
Yes.
like that real average Americans, right? That just like normal people. They're not like that because like I used to live in New York, so I see the people who are all into the all the vegans that are like all of that. When I see that, I'm like, you guys are like superhumans. Like there's no way I can do that. Like I love pizza too much. Like there's just certain things that I feel like I can never do, and I can never be that person, right? But then when you said like I'm just not a like when you talked about the part of like, you keep falling into the, like you do good for a while and then you just fall back, and then and then you when you talked about like I'm just not a healthy person, I think that part really like will resonate with a lot of people. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that's a thing that you talk about,
Yeah, I
but
do. I always talk about how like I there's some people that like love the crunch of a salad. It's like that's
yeah,
not me. Like I still love Outback Steakhouse. I love Chick-fil-A. I love pizza. Like I do love bad food. But I've
yeah,
just learned that you like can't eat like crap all the time.
yeah,
And that's how I've like transformed my life. So I think that is different and I try to talk about that because I do think it's relatable. Um
yeah. I love it because like,
yeah,
do you know Alex Hormozy? Have you heard of
no.
Alex Hormozy?
No.
So Alex Hormozy and his wife Leila Hormozy are they're like a recent kind of a influencer in the business world, but
No.
they're in the gym business. So they help their original business was like helping gyms launch, and then eventually
Yeah.
they started acquiring other companies, and now they're investors. But this guy just in the last 1 year just blew up on the internet, right? So he's like huge now. But when you follow him on Instagram, one of the things that he posts every single day is hashtag never skip dessert. And if you look at this couple, right, they look like their fitness, like they look like they would be like Mr. Universe, like, or like the ones that you see on stage, like those
Yeah.
fitness model, like they have like no fat, like they're perfect physique, and
Yeah.
but if when you actually follow them on Instagram and you look at their life, it's not like they're just doing meal plans every week and like like eating zero carbs and like and every night they go out to eat and they take a picture of their dessert, and they use hashtag never skip dessert, and other people started using that hashtag. um,
Yeah.
but it's like so refreshing to see because it's so different than what all the other health influencers are doing, right? Like this guy
Yeah.
is like saying, yeah, I like
Yeah.
to eat
That's
this, I
funny
like.
because somebody on our Slack community, I think put that they ate like a sleeve of Thin Mints last night
Hmm.
and they did like hashtag I needed that. And then I was like, oh, that's so funny. That would be like such a good hashtag when people just like,
Yeah, yeah, like
eat
it
their
doesn't
sleeve.
have to be
It's so
perfect,
true.
right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be like military, like, okay, you know.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to like. Our motto has kind of morphed into greens, water, move, repeat. Because I feel
Mm,
like it's so simple. It's like sounds too simple because everybody wants to do some complex stuff and, it never really works. But if you're like,
yeah,
did I eat green today? Did I move
yeah,
my body? And did I drink my like 90 gallons, whatever
yeah.
you're drinking of water, 90 ounces of water? Then you're like pretty good. And most
Hmm.
people, most busy women I talk to, like people always talk to me now, especially that I have ah.mi. They're like, oh, I just can't do it. I can't stay consistent. Like the same story. And when I like talk to them, they're not even like trying the basics, like
Yeah,
going for a walk every morning. So it's like
uh,
if people could just dial it down,
yeah. Like you
then
don't have to go from one to like 0 to 10. Like you
right.
just if you can just get to like 4,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
you're already.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds like what you're trying to do is you're trying to like um, I guess create a community and program for like real humans, not like these
Yes.
superhumans that you see in like California and New York, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
I would say like our niche is really like we've tried to like it's definitely busy women that feel like they have an overwhelmed plate of like juggling, work, whether they're
mhm.
moms. I think we have a good amount of like people that aren't moms too. So we're not necessarily just like a mom community. There's a lot of single people
I
on there
wouldn't
that I
focus too much on the work, the 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 working woman, the mom thing, because
think, okay.
that's such a contrary to what a lot of people in that business believe. Is
Hmm.
that's actually a very saturated market. Almost
Okay.
every almost every woman that I talk to that either wanna that teach business coaching, life coaching, wellness, like all of them, they're all like,
Yeah.
yeah, my target audience is busy moms.
Right.
And busy like people who work and want to like that's such like a cliche message now. Maybe it was like good 10 years ago,
Yeah.
but I feel like almost everybody's jumping on that bandwagon now. You know what I mean?
So what should our focus be?
I think you should focus on what you said, like about like I'm not a healthy person like
Not
that,
a health. Okay.
because I feel like that's the part that most people don't focus on. Like when I
Yeah.
go on this Instagram feeds and they, all they're doing is showing like, kale and all these veggies and all this like healthy, like nasty looking food, like clean, great looking food that probably tastes nasty, right? And then like all these bikini bodies and all the perfect bodies and all of that, like all that, all that makes me most people do when they see that they're like, oh, that's not me.
Yeah.
Like that's so far from where I am now,
Yeah.
right? That's what they're thinking, right?
Yeah.
But like I feel like out of everything you said, those two things were the ones that were like I was like, I I wish more people will be honest like that. It's
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, even 90% of these influencers are saying that shit. Deep inside, they love pizza.
It's like I
Like
want a Big
they love,
Mac for dinner. Yeah.
yeah. And it's kind of like that's why I love when David Goggins talks about how like every morning he stare at his sneakers and like, oh, you motherfucker, like he doesn't want to put on those sneakers, right? Even though this is like supposed to be the most disciplined guy in the world, right?
Yeah.
So so I think that's the part that you really need to hone in on, like
Okay.
and for me, and I'm assuming for everyone, those are like actually the moments, the special moments that, like, I went to this yoga yoga retreat thing, and it was like a no coffee for the week, all vegan diet, right? All like all, and I was like, "Ah, man, I don't know, I'm gonna be able to survive this, right? And then there was like a yoga teacher there, right? Who went to grab a muffin, right? Like, so he grabbed the muffin and he ate it, and then like his like facial expression said everything. He ate it. He's like, "Ugh, I thought that was gonna be good," right? Because it was a vegan muffin, right?
Yeah.
And like that, that moment like made me so like relatable.
Refreshing.
Like I
Yeah.
felt like we were the same person, right? Because I'm sitting there going like, oh, all these 100 people, they're probably all vegans, and they're all like, no, they're not me. They're not like me
Yeah.
at all. And all of a sudden, I see this guy, and he said the thing that I was feeling, but I was scared to say, right? And at that moment, we just like bonded, right? And
Yeah.
I also have a friend who's like a yoga teacher who actually used to teach in that program, right? And recently, like, she left and she started her own thing, and she created her own retreat. So I was like, hey, is your retreat gonna be like all vegan and all like? He's like, hell no. Like, she's like, no, I love food, right? Like, so things like that, right? Like, I
Yeah.
think that's more human, that's more real, and yeah, I really
Yeah.
think that you should double down on
Okay.
that. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Cause that was, I mean, honestly, that was my first question for you. Like, I feel like I don't have something that sticks. And I know like one of your lessons in Night Owl Nation is like, don't say like one, like something different things all the time, like stick to one thing and say it like 100 times.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
feel like I don't have that one thing. And I do, like, I enjoy going on podcasts. I enjoy speaking. I host all these little meetups, but like I'm constantly like trying to find that thing.
yeah. Well, maybe play around with it. Like
Yeah.
you said something about like I needed that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like, so what I usually do is, I teach the same storytelling basic class on Tuesdays every week, and even though it's the same one, like I feel like I'm on repeat, like I'm like a broken record. I keep saying the same thing, but the reason why I keep doing it is because every time I do it, I learn something new. Where I'm like, oh, when I said it like this, like the reaction
Yeah.
was slightly different this time, right? And it's new people every time, so they don't know that I'm teaching the same thing every week, right? To them, it's a
Yeah.
brand new thing, right? But like I usually say the same thing 100 times, like even in my content, but I say it slightly differently. And the reason why I do that is because I want to see the reaction. I want to see what's the thing that makes them go, oh. Right? And it's so weird how like you say the same thing and you give a different example of the same thing, and people are like, oh, I never thought of it that way, or something like that.
Yeah.
So just keep testing out. Maybe like for me, the thing that did it for me is when you said, I'm not a health. I'm just not a healthy person, right? This is the
Yeah.
last thing I expected you to say, right?
Yeah.
When I'm going on, I look at your website. It's this beautiful website, all healthy. Your Instagram feed, and like you're a beautiful woman. And like the last thing I expected you to say was like, oh, I'm not a healthy person. Like I was like, what? And that made me like connect with you instantly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I feel like all
something.
my friends and people like have told me that.
Mhm.
They're like, and even my mom's like, Rachel, if you told me you were running a health and wellness company, I would like die because you had like 20 cavities from eating Starburst all day when you were little. Like
Yeah, I mean, I think
everybody
those are
like
going to
kind
be
of thinks
the
it's funny. Yeah.
no. I think that's going to be your differentiator. I
Okay.
think like you're the not healthy health expert.
Yes. And I'm not an expert. Like for me, I finally found that people did want, like, they had nutrition questions. So I ended up
Mhm,
getting like a registered dietitian who could
mhm.
like answer them for them, and be a resource if people wanted that. Um, but honestly, what people want is like motivation and accountability and doing it together.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, so what do you think in the first round when you did it with your friends?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that, oh, like normally in these kind of things people fall off. They'll try for a
Hmm.
few weeks and then they go on vacation and it's just like. But you
Yeah.
said that for that group, there was something special that happened there where it worked, and even for those people, they didn't think it was going to work, but it worked, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you
Yeah.
think was the special sauce there?
It was the daily checking in, 100%. It was just like, so it wasn't like you didn't
And you
even, it
did
wasn't
the checking in.
even, no, everybody did it. Like, it wasn't like we were like, hey, what are
Um,
you doing today? Just if everybody agrees at the beginning, like, okay, daily, no matter if we ate like Pizza Hut and beer and all this shitty stuff, like, we're going to tell the group. And so it was
mm,
the daily checking in that helped. And it honestly made it fun. Like, people did
yeah,
slack off for a
yeah,
week, but they would get back on because they were
yeah.
seeing all these other people making good changes.
Hmm.
And,
And also, even if when they slack off, we actually did that. I'm actually thinking about bringing some of that back. We actually did that in the first round um, of Night Owl Nation, and we got rid of it because I was thinking like, is this too much? Like, am I asking too much of people? But what we did was like in the small groups when you come back. So in the beginning, we had them make promises. We said, I promise that I'm going to post once a day, or I promise that I'm going to post once a week, right? And then in the group, they have to say, okay, this week, I promised that I was going to post 5 times this week, but I only posted 3 times, or I didn't post at all, right? But the act of having to say that yourself
yeah,
for some reason actually makes you, before I go to the meeting, I'm going to post this. It actually
yeah,
keeps you accountable because you know that you're the one who have to say it, right? And you know
yes,
that there's no one to blame because I'm the one who made the promise. I'm the one,
yeah,
So
yeah. And it
there's
really
definitely something
works. Like,
about
I
that.
don't,
Yeah.
I mean, there definitely is science behind it too. There's been a lot of articles on just like committing together and being in a group, but
Mhm.
like it's, it sounds so like stupid simple, but that's like the beauty of it, that it really does make a difference. So I'm trying to bring back that magic, because right now we have a bigger community and we do like challenges. Right now we're in our summer of
Yeah.
strength.
So what do you think you're struggling with now that it's been gotten bigger?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is this is my passion project. And, I just love it so much. Like, even I'm on maternity leave and sometimes I feel like I'm floating when I'm working on it. Like, you
Hmm.
might get that with Night Owl Nation, that
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just feels like I'm
You're like in a
freaking
very similar boat
floating.
with me because like I have my
Yes.
agency, which is where I make the money,
Right.
and then I
Yeah.
have my community, which is like that's like the next chapter of my life, right? Like one day, hopefully that'll be the one that makes me money, but
Right.
right now
Yes.
it's a
Yeah.
passion project. Yeah,
Yes. And like, I just love it so much that I haven't really focused so much on even like, because I knew I was coming on the podcast. I was like, okay, Jordan, who does our marketing and has been really helping me for 2 weeks. I'm like, we need to crunch numbers here, because I know Sun is going to be like, even though you say Gigi does your number stuff, but he is going to be like, so are you making money, and like, what's the path to profitability? Because at the end of the day, like, ah.mi is amazing, but like, it would be freaking phenomenal if I could just hit this out of the park and like
yeah.
level it up. And I feel like we have
Uh,
this amazing base here, but like,
what I'm gonna
we're,
say is this, right?
yeah.
So, like, what is your plan in the like? Do you want to turn this into like a huge community, or do you want to turn it into more of a niche community? Like how do you see it happening? I guess because
Yeah.
there's different ways to grow communities, right? Like
Yeah. I mean, I see it becoming like a couple thousand members and being a profitable business.
got it,
And
got
it
it.
doesn't have, like, I don't want to like raise venture funding. I'm bootstrapping it myself. I love being in control and doing whatever the F I want. And I've
Hmm.
always had that personality. Um, and I know I can, but I don't need to make hundreds of millions of dollars, but it would be really freaking nice to make millions of dollars.
I think so. I I was working with this one uh person who has a membership. I think they have about 20,000 members, and they pay $30 a month, and it took them about 5 years to grow.
Okay.
But a lot of this is going to happen through word of like so marketing only gets you so far in terms of growing
Yeah.
it if you're talking numbers game, right? So I see a lot of people do this. They become a coach or they create a course and they have a couple of like 6-figure launches and maybe a 7-figure launch, and then slowly they and they disappear, right? And that's because they haven't grown enough of a community, right? They haven't invested in the community. What they do was they invested in the marketing, right?
Hmm.
So for you, I think the number one thing is going to be like, so I'm glad that you find this as a passion project,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure that in that first group, I mean I wasn't there, but if I had to take a guess, like you were probably a big part of it, meaning
Yeah.
your energy, you know what I mean, like what you bring to the table. Yes,
Yeah.
everybody else was doing that too, but like, and even now, I take you out of the equation, it probably won't work, right?
Yeah.
So I think what you need to do is you need to continue to invest in the community so that it's kind of like CrossFit, right? Like people join CrossFit not because of the exercises or the the plan, but it's because of that community, the people, right? Like you watch a CrossFit video and people are like, you see this grandma trying to do a deadlift, as well as you see like an 11-year-old child trying to do a deadlift. Like there's like a community aspect to it. So for you, definitely build that community, and I would you really have to. So like how does it work? Are you mainly the one who's running the community? How do you
Um, I mean,
what does the day-to-day
there's
process look like if I join your membership, for example?
so we normally like push, like, our launches are when we have a challenge coming up. So like right now we're doing this July small group. So very organically, like putting on stories. We do have an email list of about 2,000. We spend $300 a month on ads. And we get like around 200 to 300 new leads coming in.
Okay.
But we've kind of we've just changed our lead magnet, and we can't tell yet if it's like working on conversions.
Mhm.
But you join our newsletter, do that. But honestly, most people come from word of mouth. Like when I look
Yeah.
at who's joining, it's all like these little talks that I've given, meetups that I've hosted, going to dinner with someone and telling them about
Right.
ah.mi. Like it's very organic.
So don't forget that. Don't ever
Yeah,
forget that, because remember how you started is that you did it with
yeah,
this small group, and
yeah,
then without you even trying, everybody was like, "What's going on? What's going?"
right.
Like it's almost
Yeah,
like a FOMO is
yeah,
what gets them in. So
yeah,
like that's always gonna be a thing, I think, in your
yeah.
community where people are gonna be like, "Oh, what? Like all these like create a hash. You have to create a hashtag because people
Mhm.
are into it, right? So they're gonna be like,
Yeah,
oh, and then especially because it's a visual thing, right? Like the good thing about what you're selling is it's something like when somebody loses weight, somebody looks better, right? They're going to take
mhm.
pictures of themselves, they're going to take pictures of their progress, and they're going to upload it. And then when they use like hashtag ami or whatever that they use, it's going to start to people are going to look at it and be like, what is ami, like what ami health, what is that, like,
Yeah,
again, they get more intrigued and they're like, oh, and then they might ask them about it, and then this is how your communities grow. So really, really, like, remember that that's the root of your community, not
yeah,
funnels, running ads, and
yeah,
like trying to come up with better workout programs or anything like that, right? Or things like that.
yeah,
So I would say, like, make sure there's some sort of a way that people in your community can scream at the top of their lungs to let other people know about this community, right?
yeah.
And then do more things that you can show that visually. So I don't know if you do retreats yet, but I
No.
would definitely, for you, see if you can plan some sort of a retreat
Yeah, we
where.
actually have one of our members that like runs really amazing luxury retreats, and she's been
Mhm,
dying. She's like, we need to do like a wellness getaway. Everybody
mhm.
come, but it'll be like ah.mi style, like you said. Like we're definitely gonna have alcohol there.
Yeah,
We're,
yeah, yeah,
it's gonna
oh,
be
yeah.
like
Oh, I
fun.
love that.
You want to come?
Because like people think of retreat as like what I said, right? Like it's gonna be
Right.
vegan, no
Yeah.
coffee, like
Yeah.
no cell phones, like.
No. Yeah.
So, oh, I love that. So yeah, like do something like that, because what happens is when you're there, let's say even
Hmm.
if you don't make money in your first retreat, right? When you're there and the community is there together and they spend a few days together, and you guys truly become friends, right? Once they go back home, like something magic is gonna happen where they try to not now everybody sees that and they're gonna be like, hey, well, and then next retreat you do, it gets a little bit bigger, and it's also like just having visually, like having those pictures, like you guys having an amazing time, really
Yeah.
like getting together, having fun, having those photos on social media, because they're gonna start posting it too. It's gonna be
Yeah.
like people. It's gonna make people go like, "Oh, what is that?" Like, "Oh, that looks fun." You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
had a friend who, or I have a friend who, he leads a pretty big, what's that? What's that, like, uh, multi-level marketing? Um, it's like the supplement thing. I forgot. It's like a pretty popular.
Beachbody or
Yeah, it's like from Beachbody, but I forgot what it's called.
oh,
It's like
Shakeology, like the shakes.
something like that, but
Yeah.
it's, yeah, I forgot what it's called. I can't come up with it. It's like the biggest one.
Okay.
And so he's in that, and he leads like a pretty big group. So he has like 150 leaders in his, I guess, under his network. And
Hmm.
every week or every month or something like that, they do these events where they get together, and and then he posts the photos, and I don't even know what they're doing, right? I don't know what they're selling. I don't like, but whenever I see those pictures, I'm like, oh wow, that looks fun. Like that, it just makes you want to be part of it when you have a community like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
something like that, and then just 100% focus on, like, making sure that, so not losing the roots, right? In the beginning, you said it's the checking in, the daily
Hmm.
check-ins,
Yeah.
and you somehow allowing people. So one of the things that you might want to think about doing is, because your membership is pretty low cost, and at even if you raise that price from there, I think it's still going to be considered low cost in your community, in your industry, right? So
Yeah.
what's going to happen is when you do that, like you said, somebody who plans a retreat, like there's going to be people within your community that wants to volunteer, and they want to, like, they're going to start to step up and lead certain things, right? And you
Right.
have to like completely allow that to happen, so that, you know, like, if somebody's like, for me, I'm so grateful for our like 30 small group leaders, because I don't have to go in and do all of that
Yeah.
myself, right? Like they're the ones that are like, in the beginning, I was the one that was pumping off all the energy, like in Sunday service and things like that. But
Mhm.
that's at a certain point, that's not scalable, right? Of course, there's
Right.
going to be a few group of people, but when the small group leaders are also out there, just like welcoming people and, you know, things like that, then the community really grows. So
Yeah.
and
No, we
and in
have
the
some of
long
our like
run,
OGs.
what's that?
We have some like OGs that have been with us like literally since the like WhatsApp groups. They
Yeah,
still
yeah,
haven't left and they like
uh,
need it and they feed off of it. And I
yeah,
feel like those are like those type of people really help keep the community alive.
yeah. I mean, I think we're in a very similar place, and like I'm still figuring this out as I go, right?
Yeah.
Because I've number one, yes, I've done marketing for my clients and stuff like that, but what I'm trying to do is very different from what they do, right? Because what they're selling is they're selling high ticket courses, they're
Right.
selling like these high ticket programs and things like that, and I know how to sell all those things, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm actually like trying to build a community, right?
Yeah.
So that's gonna take time. So for you, it's gonna be the same thing. I think build communities, continue to put out content. That's and what's gonna be most important for you is to put out content that's your personality, not
Yeah.
necessarily like a beautiful photo or like some, you know, some like wise quote or something like that,
Yeah.
but something that shows your personality, like what you said about like, oh, like I needed that, or like what you
Yeah.
said about like, I'm you know, I'm not a healthy person. So if you have a story around that, right,
Yeah.
like tell stories like that, right? Or if some of your members, community members, also have a story like that, of a story of like how, so kind of like, hey, like I didn't do it perfect, but that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that theme of a story, like when you keep putting it out, I think that's really going to resonate with people. So for me, what I'm starting to realize is that um, the community, like for me to, at some point, like I think my community membership revenue is going to overtake, like if I run the numbers, my revenue, that revenue is going to overtake everything else, and that's going to be my biggest income generator. But the thing is, it's going to take years to get there, because
Yeah.
community grows exponentially. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, and right now I'm in the middle of building that foundation for it, right? So in the beginning, I did too much actually in the community, and that actually backfired on me. What I really learned, and you know, sometimes like I do things for my client, I tell stuff to my clients, and I don't take my own advice, right? Like these all the mistakes that I saw my clients make, I was making the same exact, like it's I was making the same exact mistakes, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like, it's much harder to take your own advice than to give advice, right? Because you can't see your own biases and you can't see your own flaws. So
Yeah.
like I was doing too much, and right now I'm trying to kind of dial it back and say we're gonna get really, really perfect and great at this one thing, which is every week coming together and practicing storytelling through these exercises. And that's it. Like before we talk about marketing, design, or any other masterclass or all these other stuff, we're just gonna get great at this one thing, and I want to perfect that one thing. And once that happens, then we can add on other features and stuff like later on, right? But I
Yeah.
really need to hone in on that process, and that's what I'm working on now. So something like that, and then that's building the foundation for the future growth. In the meantime, like that's why I've opened up, like for the first time this quarter, I opened up like my mentorship program, right?
Yes.
And I think we're planning a retreat for September. So I am gonna have things like that for the, because people are asking for it in the community. Like, you know, that is gonna bring in revenue in the immediate short term. But I think eventually, like the membership The monthly membership is where that's my investment for the long term.
Yeah. And
So I
you
don't. Yeah.
recently increased pricing because one of my other questions was pricing. Like, should I really drill
Yeah,
down
I
on
feel
like
like you don't. There's no need for you to do like such a low price. Like I think you should be charging like $30 a month.
$30? Okay.
Because think about it, right? Like it's not what you're selling, you know. It, I'm sorry to say this, but it is a first world problem
Yeah.
product. It's not. Do
Right.
you understand what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So uh, it really is not going to help anyone by lowering the price.
Right.
I can understand if you're selling to, like like my community, we have a huge uh, uh, like an audience base in Nigeria, India, and Colombia, and the average household income there is like $200 a month, three hundred
Yeah.
dollars a month. So yes, for us, it makes sense to have, and we're going to continue it. Like for those countries, we're going to still keep it at $5 a month. Like that, the price increase that we're doing it is
Mhm.
only on certain countries. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And what was your thought to do quarterly instead of monthly?
Yeah, for us, it makes sense because um, we have small group leaders, and it's kind of hard for us to ask small group leaders to lead indefinitely, right?
Right.
And also, like you said, what was happening is when people join a small group, they're curious to see like, oh, I wonder what that small group's like, but things like that. So we did started doing the quarter thing, so that they can try out every quarter. They can try out different small groups, right? And um, and right now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get. So what's happening is most people. One of the biggest mistake that I made is I made it hard for people to see the progress that they're making week to week to week. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So because like when most people teach storytelling, what they do is they make it very obvious. Like, okay, here's the structure, like here's the 7-step framework, and blah blah blah. People are like, oh, cool. Like so they're doing that, but in reality, they're not really actually learning storytelling. I'm doing it the opposite way, where I'm teaching them certain critical thinking things where it seems like that has nothing to do with storytelling, and so people are like, how's this going to help me with my story, how's this going to help me with my business, right? That's what they're thinking. So unless you've been there for like a certain number of weeks, you don't actually understand the benefits, right? So like one of the things that we're doing this quarter is I'm trying to make the assignment like fun on its own, so that even if they don't see that this doesn't tie it, like they're gonna walk away with this like, oh, aha, like I never thought of it. Like this is what I was doing wrong in my business. I never even thought of it, right? And then
Yeah.
we're also doing some sort of a point system. So if they show up to the meeting, it's like kind of like you do the check-in. So the points is going to be kind of our version of the check-in. And the last homework that I do in the last quarter, uh, the last meeting of the quarter, is going to be to redo the assignment from week one. So then what happens is a lot of people don't see progress because they don't see, like if you go look back and you look at content from 3 months ago that you created, you might be like, oh my gosh, like that was so bad. Like if I were to redo that, you know what I mean? It's kind of like that where they're going to be able to see, oh my gosh, like if I were to redo this assignment, I would do it totally differently and that almost like confirms that, okay, I've made this much progress, right? So to get them
Right.
to renew for the next quarter, something like that. Um, but yeah, like I'm trying to take it right now. The biggest reason why people don't commit, like that are not active in Night Owl Nation, or like if they're not retaining their membership, it's because of overwhelm. And that's actually true for almost all membership sites. It's the number one reason why people leave is because there's too much stuff. Not It's never because there's too little stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping these small groups too, like just starting part of a small group, like it's like one thing, you really focus on it. Because I think the same thing, like people join on me and they're like, okay, like what do I do now? And do I just jump into Slack and start sharing things, or how does it work? So, and I offer
So
like
what
these.
happens now if I join?
Yeah.
Let's say I join. What's the first? What happens?
So if you join now, you'll like get our welcome like email flow. You'll introduce yourself on Slack. And typically every month there's like a new challenge or something going on that you can
Okay.
join. You also have the option to like book a one-on-one call with me, and I can tell you how to get the most
Okay.
out of ah.mi, which I think like only one person has ever done.
Right.
um, and then also like I try and do we have a private Instagram page that's just for our members where I sometimes go on live and just talk to them about how to get the most of ah.mi. Because I find with our community, I've done Zooms or like join me on this Zoom and we can meet each other. Um, and like two people show up, which I get
Mm-hmm.
it. Like people are busy and have stuff going on. And just like, unless it's freaking required for work, like sometimes I don't want to join like an optional Zoom too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We'll see how it goes because with this new small group that we're launching in July, I like had them check a box that like I will like do my best to attend the intro Zoom call and meet the crew and share your goals. Because I do think it's fun, it's important, and like for all these people that are joining, it could be like networking and like meeting other like-minded people. But I've just found really low rates when I try and like host a Zoom for our members.
So, what did you do in that first round with your friends? You Was it literally just the WhatsApp? Did you guys do anything else? You guys
Yeah,
ever
just
jump on a
WhatsApp.
call? Or...
No, nothing.
Yeah. So
Like
then I
such
wouldn't
bare
overthink it.
bones.
Like
Yeah,
what you're experiencing is completely normal, right?
right.
Because
Yeah,
just think about it. We have almost 1,000 members at Night Owl Nation now. Only
yeah,
about 70 people come to those Sunday service,
yeah.
and that, like it took us a lot of work to even get there, right?
Right, right.
So
And even me, I like listen to it on Mondays.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like,
people are busy. Like
yeah,
it's not on top of mind, right? So
right.
it's your job to slowly try to get them there. Like when
Yeah.
people join in the beginning, I would even give them the option to do anything else, but like that's what we're doing this next quarter. So we're
Hmm.
taking actually everything out of circle. Like
Okay.
for any new member when they come in, the only two things they can do is they can attend Sunday service and join a big group, and that's it. We don't want them to do anything else. So that and then once they join a big group, they'll do the assignment there, right? So for you, like literally give them like everybody wants step by step instructions. Like
Yeah.
don't tell me like that I have all these options. Just tell me exactly what to do, right?
Right.
So give them that so that as soon as they come in, there's just this one thing they have to do. Like maybe it's just a
Yeah.
check in, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you have like uh, maybe you ask some of your members to be like, hey, can any of you guys kind of lead this introductory group or something like that? So every new member goes into there, and then because like I'm sure, like you said, did it help that you were there to kind of constantly encourage them and
Yeah.
like
Or I just
think,
think of new members that come in. They're like, okay, all these like healthy bees already on here, like sharing
mhm,
all their healthy stuff. Like I'm such a
mhm,
newbie. I don't even, I've never even made a green smoothie before. Where the hell do
mhm,
I start? Um, that's why I think like starting with a small group of hopefully other like newbies
yeah,
with mixed in some people that have been part of ah.mi for so long and can like
yeah.
kind of guide them.
Well, in the first what's the text message group that you did with your friends, what kind of
Uh-huh.
stuff did you guys share in there?
Like pictures of us on like a 6 a.m. run and also pictures of us like partying at like midnight, you know, like it was
Yeah,
like such a
yeah,
mix. It was like
yeah,
friends having a text group conversation. But the goal, like if we showed the like midnight partying picture, it was like, don't worry, I'm going to still be like ready to go tomorrow.
yeah, yeah.
So it was like that type of everything was focused on the united goal of like sticking to the basics when it comes to getting healthy.
I think you have to try your best to base your goal. Like you work with a lot of tech startup founders, so you know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I used to work with a lot of tech startups when we first started my agency, and tech startup is all about taking this one thing and
Mm-hmm.
scaling it, right? Like taking this one thing that works with one person,
Yeah.
and then how can I scale it to like a million users, right?
Yeah.
So your entire business is actually taking that same experience that you and your 8 friends had,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that special sauce that was magical
Yeah.
about it, and scaling that. So
Yeah.
every new member that comes in or every existing members, how can you create that experience for them? I think is where you like literally all of your energy should go to.
Yeah, I think it's going to be within these small groups. I
Yeah.
think like that is my hunch because
Yeah,
and I
try
just
different
feel how
things.
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's what like Night Owl Nation, like we've made so many mistakes. We failed so many times. Like I'm just at this time I'm so embarrassed because like every time I ask the small group leaders or I ask members like, oh, we're gonna change again because that didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm almost ashamed to say that because then all the small group leaders gonna be like, again,
I
like
know.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But still, they love it and they're still like,
Yeah.
no matter how much I feel like, oh, man, all these small groups, like everyone's gonna leave me because like, but as long as you're honest with them
Yeah.
and you let them know that we're building this together,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that you guys are being our guinea pig
Yeah.
and helping us test these out and like and make them feel like they're involved, right? They're involved in the
Yeah.
decision making process and things like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm so, because every quarter we do it, the number of our leaders grow. And I'm always
Yeah.
shocked. I'm like, haven't you guys had enough? Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I guess I think what I'm trying to say is whatever you created in that small initial round,
Hmm.
if you can try to scale that as much as possible, I think you won't have any problems.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll stick with it. Yeah, because I think hearing you, like, also, I've been doing this for now 3.5 years from that like initial group, and I
Mm.
feel like it's like very slow and steady.
It takes time. How do
Yeah.
you do your content right now?
What kind of content?
Like social media content?
So it's a little bit of a hot mess, but
Mhm.
um, my Jordan, who is amazing and like a member of ah.mi that has turned now, she also has her own agency that she helps founders,
Mhm.
and she will like plan out content, and I'll send her like randomly text messages like we should do this, we need to do this,
Mhm.
or I'll like video like right now.
Mhm.
I'm like taking pictures and videos of all my breakfasts and lunches, and we're gonna make a
Mhm.
reel of like my breakfasts of the week, my lunches of the week, because I think people don't understand like that food is such a huge freaking part of it. And if you aren't
Mhm.
seeing changes, so I want to like show people a week of my breakfast. It's not like what I eat in the day. It's like my week of something. And so like it's
How
very
often do you post?
stories every day, and I like completely do that. It's like my love. I do it when I'm like on my morning walk, which people would be like, you're freaking staring at your phone. But it just like, it makes me relax. It's something different than being a lawyer all day. I just
Mhm.
like come up with a little story and I like post. Sometimes I think about it the night before of like, oh, what would be good for today? But I just sometimes do it off the cuff. And people have said like, I can tell it's your voice, Rachel. Like
I think if
you,
you're doing that already,
yeah,
I would post those also on like as reels, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts
yeah, yeah.
instead of just posting it on stories.
Yeah, I mean, you convinced me. Like in the past week, I've created a YouTube channel, uploaded
Mhm.
22 videos just based on like past content I found because I was like, this is so easy. And
Are
then
they
like,
long form content?
no, shorts.
Oh, short form. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've like taken clips from like podcasts I've been on or like live interviews I've done and just put them onto YouTube. I also did like a video of my transformation because like I also again like even though I'm healthy, I
Yeah.
gained a shit ton of weight this pregnancy and I have like 50 pounds to lose. And so May 20th I took like a video of my like before, and every month I'm gonna like video my changes
Yeah.
and like put that on
Why
YouTube.
don't you do your own podcast?
Yeah, I could.
It's like where you just have guests on, whether you from your
Yeah,
members, right?
yeah,
Whether you coach them or they just ask you a bunch of questions and or even like talk to those friends, 8 of your friends that you
yeah,
started with, right? Like starting
yeah.
like, because like doing a weekly podcast where you just record for like half an hour to an hour is
Yeah,
really the best way to consistently come up with short form content because you can repurpose all of those, right?
yeah. And you think
And
that's better than just doing an Instagram live, like via podcast?
well, Instagram Live is dead. Like the only reason why I'm doing
Okay.
Instagram Live is to answer questions for my community. Like Instagram Live is not going to help you grow at all.
Okay.
You know where you're going to grow, and podcast is not going to help you grow either. So
Hmm.
okay, I'll tell you this. So right now, if you want to grow and you want to reach new audience, probably and in a short amount of time, probably the place is TikTok, right? Because
Right.
TikTok is going
Yeah.
to be the one where what's going to happen is you take all of those little clips or whatever you already have, just every day upload one a day or two a day or
Hmm.
three, or however many you can, right? Per day consistently. And you just watch it. One day you're going to wake up to 20,000 comments, right?
Okay.
That's just what happens on TikTok. Like nothing will happen for me. Like
Yeah.
sometimes nothing happens for like a weeks, and then all of a sudden like I get like 1,000 comments, right? Like because one video got
Yeah.
100,000 views, and then nothing happens for a while, and then you know what I mean. That's kind of what happens in TikTok. So consistently do that, right? That's gonna bring you audience, but that's a
Okay.
TikTok audience. It's not the same as
Right.
YouTube audience,
Right.
which is
So
not the
use the
same as Instagram.
podcast to just create content for all the channels.
Yeah, I mean that's the easiest way to do it
Yeah.
because like if you just use like repurpose.io or if you there's tools out there that will take your long form content and clip it
Hmm.
into some short form content.
Right.
So TikTok is that YouTube. YouTube Shorts? What I found is good is YouTube Shorts has also an algorithm that's good, so you can reach new audience,
Hmm.
but it's not going to be like TikTok. Like TikTok, you can literally get 1 million views on a video and gain 30,000 followers overnight with one video. And it can literally be your first video. As long as people
Yeah.
are watching that one piece of video,
Right.
it can happen. YouTube is not necessarily like that, but YouTube is evergreen, right? So nothing like TikTok, whatever you post, it's for that week or at most 2 weeks, right? But YouTube, it's
Hmm.
evergreen. So you can whatever you post now can still help you 3 years from now.
Right.
It's not nothing is being wasted, right?
Yeah.
So there's that for YouTube. Podcast is not gonna like it'll take you 3 years of like consistently posting podcast episodes for you to gaining any kind of
Hmm.
traction. But it two things. It gives you the content that you can repurpose for these other short forms, and two, the people that are listening to your podcast are your true audience.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So right now, it seems like you have the right tools, the accountability tools and stuff like that for your community. I think that's really good. That's like a huge thing. But I do not dismiss your personality, your energy, because I guarantee you, if you told those 8 people like, "Oh, just do that," and you took yourself out of it, it would not have worked.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
No, I agree. Yeah.
So remember that you're like when you go to a party, right? Like
Yeah.
you need that host or the person to be
Yeah.
like to make sure everybody's having fun, and you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So you were probably that person in that group, right?
Yeah.
Just now remember that you have 150 of those people,
Yeah.
and you're still that person, right? Once you have 1,000 people, you're still that person. So
Yeah.
how can you scale you in a way that without you having to do that to every single person,
Right.
you can still do that at that level, right? That means you got to show up, you got to show yourself, and then you're
Yeah.
doing that through Instagram stories, but through podcasts. So grow that core community. So I would do all of them, and I think content is gonna be the way for you to one way for you to attract new members, and then of course the word of mouth thing too.
Okay.
And don't dismiss like in the beginning days. Um, so I'm so like I regret not going on other platforms. I just like in the beginning I only focused on Instagram, and Instagram is like the most competitive like platform to grow. So I don't even know why I did that, and so
Yeah.
I regret not going on YouTube and things like that. But don't dismiss like networking.
Yeah.
Like for me in the beginning, I really like I reached out to everyone, like every other big creator. I try to get on everyone's podcast and things like that. So like try to continue to try to do that because
Okay.
you know there's other people in this space that already have audiences that you can get access to.
Yeah. No, I'm like the queen of DMs. Like I just like
Oh,
DM'd
okay.
Peloton's social media coordinator. And she was like, oh yeah, if you guys have a group running like some marathon, we'll outfit you all. We'll send our photographer. And we ended up getting that and like on their
Oh, nice.
blog in like our first year, which was awesome. So I definitely like just like I have no shame reaching out to people. And I feel
I
like
would
people
try to
like
get on
hearing from the
podcasts
founder. Yeah.
as much as you can. Like, you know what? One of your, like, I do this with a lot of my clients that are kind of starting out.
Hmm.
Um, what you should do is you should make a like a spreadsheet of 100 podcasts that you want to go on,
Okay.
and then just have somebody in your team or you yourself just reach out to every single one of them like constantly,
Okay.
and then try to get on them.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is good. I feel like I've like laid the foundation, but I'm just like, can I like turn this into something magical? It already is, but like that makes money.
Yeah, I mean, maybe what you should do is here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Those things like retreats, and if you do like a core group of people where you kind of meet with them every, even if, let's say out of 150 people, right? Let's say only 15 people show up, but it's gonna take you some time because they haven't they thought of this as like a Netflix account, right? Or like Planet Fitness, I sign up and I never go again. Like
Yeah.
that's how, you know, like 90% of revenue for fitness, Planet
Yeah.
Fitness, comes from people who never go to the gym
Right.
that are just continue. So that's how people look at it. So you have to shift that from that to more of a community thing. And one of the ways you can do that is raise your prices,
Right.
and then have these things where, you know, maybe you meet once a month or something like that on Zoom, you know, where you do some sharing, where
Yeah.
people kind of talk about their experiences and things like that. And then what's going to happen is, you know, a lot of people think that like growing a community is like somehow you have to find a way to just scale something, but the way to scale that is through one-on-one, actually. Like I found that the more personal time I spend with individual members, the more actually the community thrives and grows. So, you know, yeah, create opportunities like that on, you know, where it's just so weird. Like I help one person, and then one person is like tells the whole, like they're so grateful that they tell the whole world about it, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, to scale something, I think you really need to like scale it one-on-one, because when I help one person, what ends up happening is not only am I helping that one person, so that person is going out and talking about it, but everyone else in my community sees that I helped that one person,
Yeah.
right? And then they're like, oh, like, wow, Son is really, you know, he really cares about us, you know, something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's true. It's actually funny because some of our me members will like text me on the side and they're like, oh
mhm.
shit, Rachel, like I can't stick with it. How do you do this stuff? And then I start kind of like texting them on the side and just like, you can do it. Like, come on.
Mhm.
Like, and it is true that I feel like maybe something like that.
No, yeah,
Or
you got
maybe,
to do. Like, so one of the
yeah.
things I do on Instagram, like I know I need to get better at it right now, but is when somebody DMs me and says, "Son, like, what should I do? Like, this is what I'm struggling with. What should I do?"
Yeah.
I'll either reply the answer, like what I think they should do, my advice, or I'll send a recording of my advice. And then next, what I do is I take a screenshot of that, or I do a video screen recording with my voice, and I'll play my part of the message, and
Uh-huh.
I'll hide their name or something like that, and I repost that on stories. Then everybody who watches the stories are like, oh wow, Son is like actually helping these people on
Yeah.
DMs. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that makes them feel like, oh wow, like, so I kill two birds with one stone, right? Because anyone else who's struggling with that same problem now got the answer too.
Yeah.
And then two, it shows the community how much I'm committed, right?
Yeah. Like
So
invested.
yeah,
Yeah.
so things like
Yes.
that.
Okay. Well, this was really helpful. I feel like I have a lot of ideas. And I think the key with, too, and I know because I'm in the startup world too, is like most successful businesses is like people that just have stuck with it. And like if you
Yeah,
do love it so much, and I do, like I always like think about it, especially in the early days when I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like I have
yeah,
3 kids, like,
yeah, yeah.
adding this
But I'm
other
sure that's how
thing.
you grew your law firm too, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's doing those boring things. Like consistently doing the boring
Yeah.
things is what causes success, not like
Yeah.
some brilliant idea.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like when you talk about like right now, you're pretty much like managing a team, not like designing cool websites. It's like that's the
Yeah,
same.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that actually makes a bigger difference on your success
Yeah.
know than 10% of the cool stuff.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right. Well, this was so helpful. I'm so happy. I don't even know how I like stumbled on you in Night Owl Nation, but it's and I've really tried because I feel like I have a community, so I know that like sharing tips with all the other members and like responding when somebody shares something is just like that's what creates magic in a community of like knowing there's people out there looking at what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have no doubt that you're gonna figure it out because you
Okay.
have the like number one, you obviously have the grit because
Yeah.
you built your own business before, so you know how to do that work. And number two, you're passionate about this. So
Yeah.
like I guess the final thing that I can like so to summarize everything, what I'm gonna say is like what you have to constantly go back to is you're trying to take that experience from your first round with the 8 of your friends
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to scale that. So what
Yep.
always whenever you're like struggling with something, you're like, oh, I don't know what to do, A or B. Like, whenever you need to make those kind of decisions, just go back to that moment and think
Yeah.
about what made that special.
That feels good because that was like you said, like so simple. Like it wasn't bells and whistles and all this shit. And like it
Yeah,
literally was just talking every day.
yeah,
So if I can like keep that as my like cornerstone of what the magic is, it's
yeah,
that.
yeah. Everyone, you're just accommodating friends
Yeah.
that can keep each other accountable.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Awesome, and let us know. Let me know if you ever do retreats.
I know. I know.
So
I'm
that
gonna invite
sounds
you
like
to
my kind of
my
retreat.
yes, it's definitely gonna have an Ami twist to it, but it's gonna be a wellness getaway and beautiful and amazing. Just
Yeah,
gonna have some partying too.
that's awesome. Okay, thank you,
All right,
Rachel.
thank you so much,
Thank you, everyone,
son.
for listening. I hope you and everyone got a lot out of this. This is like actually, you know, pretty good because most people that come on this podcast are not so experienced in actually building a business and things like that. So I think this is like a fresh take.
Yes, but I
Thank you for
still have
coming on.
doubts and all the normal stuff. Like just because this isn't my first rodeo doesn't mean it's free of
Yeah, we
those
all do, right? And
things.
and,
Yeah.
and just to say, add to that, like I'm always surprised whenever I work with new clients or I meet new entrepreneurs, no matter what level they're in. And I'm like, oh, this person is, he's like a billionaire. Obviously, he doesn't have imposter syndrome, but they all do. It's
Yeah.
so crazy.
Yes.
Okay, Rachel,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you so
And
much.
I'll hopefully see you in Night Owl Nation.
Yes.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.